This video was made possible by Power Up. Turn your paper airplane into a smartphone flying machine. And use promo code FF10 to get 10% off your order at poweruptoys.com.
Hello pilots of the internet, welcome to Foldable Flight. My name is Kyle and this is where I teach you how to fold paper airplanes that will blow your mind. And in this video I am teaching you this beautiful paper airplane called Sparrow. And as you can see, it has this really distinctive front section that actually locks the front of the plane together. And you'll notice it locks together in the back as well, and I really love planes that do that. It also has this distinctive angle change in the wings that I love as well. And even stranger than this shape is the shape of its fuselage, which as you can see does not extend all the way to the front of the plane, and that's actually one of the elements that I find most intriguing about this plane. Now you will notice that this is a little bit wrinkled, and that's because I am using thick Astro Brights paper just so this could be purple, but I would encourage you to use thinner paper for this plane. It really fares well with just your regular 20-pound printer paper that you can get at any office supply store, and even better than it fares with the Astro Brights paper. Now, as I so often do, I have designed a template for Sparrow, and I really love the way this one turned out. If you are interested in folding a plane that looks like this, you can download and print off this template by becoming a patron at patreon.com/foldableflight. Now I will warn you before we begin, this is an advanced fold, so if you do not have a lot of experience folding paper airplanes or with origami in general, you may contemplate trying an easier plane, but if you are up for the challenge, this is well worth the effort. So let's get started. All you will need in order to fold Sparrow is an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper, but you may also want a ruler. There will be some points of estimation in this plane, and a ruler may help you out if you desire. And with that, we will begin by folding this edge here to this edge, and just folding the paper in half. And I like to rotate the paper and fold toward myself as I do that. As always, symmetry is very important with this plane as much as any, and especially given that it is complex, it may be even more important than usual. So really try to match up your corners as you fold that. And now that we have it in this position, you'll notice this is my folded edge. This is what is called the raw edge, the unfolded edge of the paper. And I want that folded edge on the right side. And I'm going to fold from this top right corner to the bottom left corner. And as I do this, I'll open the paper up. And you can see I swing this top corner into this folded edge. And it's going to kind of catch there, and that helps me find that edge really easily, or that corner really easily. And then I can kind of tack that down and swing this other edge here and work towards finding that other corner. And then I kind of sweep out from the middle like so. And now that I've done one side, I can just flip my paper over and fold the other side to match. And so now I'm just taking this corner here and actually landing it on that corner there, which is going to maintain the symmetry of my plane. Give that a nice sharp crease. And the next step is I want to fold the portion of the paper that crosses over this edge here back over. So it's going to go from the point to there. My crease will go from this point here to that reference point there. Again, I'm going to actually pull the paper this way towards myself. Often if I have the option, I like to fold toward myself more than away from myself. So I tend to rotate the paper so that that is the case. And you can see what I've done here. Basically, I've just folded this back, revealing that edge of the paper right there. And then I'm actually going to flip this crease inside out, just folding it in the opposite direction and tucking it in like so. And I'll flip the paper over and repeat those steps on the other side. Okay, and at this point we can open the paper up, and I'm actually going to flip it over as well. And the key here is we're going to be folding this top point down onto this edge. And now there are a couple of ways to determine exactly where on this edge you want it to land. The easiest way is if you have a ruler, which I do have, but I'm noticing I don't need it because I have this perfect grid. But if you have a ruler, you'll notice the point we want to fold to is actually exactly 3 inches, 1, 2, 3, from this corner of the paper. Now, there is another way to determine this, and it's actually the way that's significant, but it's a harder guessing game, a little bit of eyeballing if you do it this way. The other way to do it is when we fold this down, and you can see I'm headed toward that spot that's 3 inches from the edge. What we want to do, really, is get this edge to be parallel to our center crease. That is the significant thing geometrically that matters, but it happens that you do that by landing this point 3 inches from that outer edge. Now, another thing that's really important, we are not creasing all the way across here as we do this. We're just going to crease to the middle crease. And then one more thing that's very important is as we pull this top edge down to here, we really do not want to land it inside, as in farther than 3 inches from that outer edge. And we really do not want to land it somewhere above this. If you mess up to this side, shorter than 3 inches from the edge, or past this bottom point. There is a reason for that, but it's more than I want to explain. Basically, just know you're aiming for 3 inches from that edge, or perfectly parallel to the center crease. And once you have lined your point up in that proper space, you want to crease this top edge here just until you hit that center crease and no further. And then, once we have it like that, we will fold this in. This is a little tricky, but we're just folding in on this crease here and basically close everything up and make this other crease here on the top match the crease we had just made. I hope that's clear. I know that's a lot of explanation for one step, but it is a very important step to make sure that your paper doesn't tear later, would be the consequence of getting that wrong. So we're going to go ahead and actually open this back up like so, and we're going to make some reference points. Basically, I just want to fold this to the center, and I'm just going to make a little pinch crease right in the middle. So as I pull that in, I just pinch right there, and again I'm folding this to here and just making a little pinch crease, and you can see we have 2 references now. We're going to again pop this behind and have it fold into the plane as we fold it in half. And the next step is we're going to fold what will become our fuselage, and we're going to make a crease that goes from this reference point here down to this back corner. But I would actually recommend that you aim just a little bit above the back corner. In terms of folding the plane, it's not going to matter a ton, but in terms of the durability of the plane, it will matter that you don't fold right to that crease. Ultimately, your plane may tear if it crashes if you fold right to this point here. So again, sorry, probably giving too much detail. I'm folding right from this point here, this reference, to just above that rear point. I'll make the crease and then show you exactly what that looks like. You can see here, my crease is going from my reference point to, again, just above that back corner. And now I'm going to leave it flat, flip it over, and fold the same thing on the other side. Kind of open this. I know it is a little tricky to fold there, but opening that with my finger and pulling this, and then I can kind of use this existing crease as my guide for maintaining symmetry, I try to land the edge that I'm working on currently right on that crease, and I'm going to try to keep my head out of the way, so it's very possible I'll miss lining this up perfectly. But you can see what I'm trying to do. And now you should notice that when you hold your plane like this, your creases are running to exactly the same point at the front, and hopefully they are also running to the same point at the back. Okay, so now, part of why this model is so tricky is we do some of this folding while the model will not lie flat on the table. And you can see you want to be holding it right there and pinching and making sure that it's nice and tightly closed right at that point. And we're going to grab this whole top section. And it helps if you kind of place your forefinger on the spine of this right here. And basically we want to reverse this crease. It is currently a mountain crease. We want it to become a valley crease, so you'll get part of it, and then you can kind of pinch between all three fingers here and pull just a little bit, and you'll see this valley crease is now extending all the way right to this point where it's flush with the wings. And that is exactly what we want. And you can kind of fight to curl these edges because we want to pull this all the way down. And I'm going to flip the plane over and show you exactly the position we're trying to get this to. You want to pull this edge until it is in alignment with your existing crease here. So the bottom edge of this triangle that's poking through should be aligned as a continuation of that crease. And once you have that, you can pinch your whole plane closed and work on creating the creases that are going to form right here. So you may want to make sure they don't get too crinkled. Again, line that up, and you flatten and you find those edges, and you actually make those edges through this paper. And when I open that back up, you can see I've made those creases. I know that is quite complicated again, but hopefully you are able to follow that. We're actually going to open the plane all the way back up to this orientation and flip it over like so. So you should have your loose layers on this side. And the next thing we want to do is fold this edge here to the center, but again, we are only creasing up to a certain point. So we're only going to crease to where this edge meets this crease that we have right there. So I'll show you what that looks like. Folding into the center. And now I only crease right up to this point here where that crease is intersecting the edge of my paper. And I'll open that up. And the next thing I want to do is I want to use, here I'm going to even highlight. That's the crease that we had. Here's the crease we just made. This point is where our new crease is going to start. And we want to fold to this here where this crease is intersecting the edge. So this is the crease we are about to make right there. And so we should have these creases now in the paper. And we're going to do the same steps on the other side. We're folding here. Just creasing to that crease there. And then going from this point where this crease intersects that crease to this corner right here where this crease is intersecting the edge. And again, I know that's a little tricky, but you should be able to push in and have your model do this kind of thing. And we're actually not doing anything with those creases just yet, but we will in a second. We're going to, again, pop this back on this crease and this crease and close our fuselage here. And you can see now we can kind of pull this whole section forward. It naturally is kind of wanting to sit in this orientation, and we pull this whole section forwards. And before making any creases, go ahead and lie your model. You have it like this. Lie your model like this, and you want to make sure you're lining up what is your center here, the center of your fuselage, on the center crease of this layer. Make sure that's lined up, and then you can press everything on the other side nice and flat. That shouldn't be too hard to do when you have that. So, a little bit tricky again, I know. But once you have that, your plane should look like this. We can just fold it in half, like so. And now the magic is going to start. We've done the hard work here, and we've got some cool stuff that's about to be revealed. So we're going to be creating a crease that runs from this corner here back down to this edge, roughly. And we're going to do that just by pulling this open. And you can see we have a crease right here on this layer. That is the crease that is going to determine the angle of this full crease we're about to make. So we're just opening this up on the hinge that it's going to naturally open on. But one thing that's important is you're really going to need to control your layers on this outer edge. Otherwise, it's going to get out of control. Your crease may curve. It'll become a mess. Basically, just pay careful attention to your layers as you do this. I like to put my finger right on this point where I'm pulling. The crease should go right into this corner. And I pull all the way down. And this edge here, again, should be lining up right with our crease here. And we crease all the way out to the edge. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Try hard to control those layers as you do this. And your plane should look like this. And you can see, for all my talk of telling you don't make the mistakes of misalignment, my paper did tear very slightly, and that's a result of me missing on the step where you're folding 3 inches from the edge. Anyways, just showing you the consequence that it can yield. Now that's not a big deal. It's not going to affect the performance of your plane, but just pointing out, hey, I made the mistake that I told you not to make. So your plane should look like this. And what we want to do now is just fold. We've got the existing wing creases on the top of the wing, but we don't have the wing crease on this section of these thick layers. And basically all you're going to do is pull down, and you want to crease right along this edge here, like so. And we're going to flip it over and do the same thing. We're just pulling down along this edge and extending the wing creases to those layers. And your plane should now be able to do this. And you can see we are essentially done. All we have to do now is fold winglets, or fins on the edge of the plane. So I'm going to set the plane in this kind of orientation, and I want to fold my fins just a little inside of this transition, the angle change. You can see one angle changes to another angle. You want to be just a 1/4 inch inside that, maybe. Farther in won't hurt you at all. Maybe you want to be a little more than a 1/4 inch. Again, bigger is not a problem. Smaller will potentially pose a problem for you. So you can err on the side of bigger fins if you want. So once I fold one, I will fold my plane in half, flip it over, and fold this side to match. And there we go. Once we open this all up, you can see we have a finished plane. Now, especially with thick paper, you can see this has a strong tendency to create a very high dihedral angle. Normally, dihedral angle is good for stability, but in this case, the center of gravity is very far below the wings, down here. And that means it's going to really swing like an unsteady pendulum when the wings, the center of lift, is as high as the wings will make it in this orientation. So you actually want to lower your center of gravity of the wings. It can have a slight dihedral angle, but decreasing that dihedral angle some will dramatically help it.
And while we're talking about ways to improve your paper airplane experience, that's where Power Up comes in. Turn your paper airplane that flies into something that really flies. Power Up converts your paper airplane into a smartphone flying machine. Just download the app, attach the module, and take to the skies. All of the modules are quick to charge, easy to use, and are virtually crash-proof. Power Up invites you to make many planes in many shapes because every plane brings with it new tricks and with them new gasps of excitement. Follow the link in the description and use the promo code FF10 to get 10% off your order at poweruptoys.com.